Good afternoon, Scott Small here from Ripley, Oklahoma. Today I'm going to be doing a quick presentation over the technician shortage that's really kind of started in the 2000s, but it's worked its way through the 2010s and now into 2020. Kind of what we're going to be seeing, from this point forward. How do technical colleges make a comeback to fill this gap? Had a chance to speak to a couple of industry leaders here in Oklahoma and Texas about what they're doing to recruit, their influence or lack thereof on their local tech school, and what kind of guys they've pulled out of these tech schools. So first of all, let's talk about how did we get here. Well, there's several bullet points there. I'll dive in on a couple of them, but the big thing here is advancements in technology. The shade tree mechanic's pretty much dead. There's definitely several independent shops, but even independent shops these days that you go into, if they're servicing the transportation industry in any side of the business, as far as automotive or diesel or locomotive or even space exploration, those shops are full of technology. They've got independent software that they can run on different vehicles. There's always going to be a voltmeter, etc. So just people not wanting to learn a new skill has definitely pushed several technicians out and discouraged others from getting into the business. So computerized, adapt or die. If you're an older tech, or if you're a younger guy, you're either going to dive in head first or miss the boat. Demands of the consumer, of course, in certain industries, as far as ag, locomotive, construction, the consumer's demanding more, want to spend the same dollar and get more bang for their buck. So demands of the consumer have added more technology, which has in turn shoved technicians out of the workforce and discouraged others from getting in. Something I've talked to several of my friends about is a high school mechanics class. I had a high school auto class that I took when I was a junior into senior, but more times than not, guys that I've asked, they either didn't have it then or they did, and their alma mater, their high school, does not have it now. Something that's pushing more and more technology onto the vehicles is government regulations as far as miles per gallon, tailpipe emissions, etc. So that's added a lot more componentry to the vehicle, making them much more complex. So where are we now? Steer-by-wire, drive-by-wire, autonomous vehicles, CAN communication technology, Ethernet communication technology, the emissions controls that we were talking about, low particulate matter, NOx on the diesel side. Both of those have to be controlled, and how are you going to do it with after treatment, timing, extremely high fuel pressures, etc. This all adds technology to the vehicle. Low emission gas vehicles or zero emission fully electric vehicles, similar to that Tesla picture you see down there at the bottom. I'm assuming that's a full autonomous steer by, drive by, hands off the wheel and just ride along car if the conditions call for it. But we're definitely accelerating towards that in the automotive industry, and we're accelerating towards that in the heavy ag and construction industries. Fortunately for ag and construction, I don't think you'll ever see the human element be taken out of it. There's just too many variables to go, but I think eventually you'll see just a guy in the seat, and he's there just in case something goes wrong. So today I'm going to talk mainly about the heavy ag space. It's definitely something I'm very close to as far as in my line of work, but these are all the players, at least several of them. I'm sure I missed somebody, but we've got everyone from John Deere to AGCO, C&H, MacDon, Pottinger, Chrome. One of the biggest technology leaders in the ag space and construction is Trimble. Landau on the tillage side. Massey's a big global brand, but it's a very busy and crowded space. All these companies are producing great products. They have great dealers, but these dealers need people. They need humans to help these machines get running when the technology shuts them down or when mechanical failures shut them down. So let's talk about some standard technology in the heavy ag industry. Auto steer, that's pretty much on every tractor, 100 horse and above that you're going to find today. All the way down to sub-inch accuracy with RTK correction source, whether that be cell-based or a stationary tower-based RTK source. That's standard. I mean, that's entry-level stuff, right? Rate and section control, a little bit more advanced. That goes right into variable spray. You can variable seed a field. You got poor areas. You can variable rate plant, then you can collect your field data, and then you can come back and variable rate spray it, saving on money on inputs, producing greater profit for the farmer. Tier 4, Tier 5 emissions, we've talked about it. It adds componentry to the vehicle. Tier 5 is not mandatory in North America yet, but it's coming, I'm sure. We are seeing some Tier 5 compliant tractors make their way over from Germany and France into North America, so they're here. And then, of course, full-on autonomous. Talked about it on the previous slide that it will probably get there. It's definitely going to be behind the automotive industry. They are going to lead the way on autonomous operations, but we're going to see it in ag and construction. So who are the major players that I talked to in the ag space here in Texas and Oklahoma? Well, Livingston Machinery's got 4 locations with 35 technicians, and Wiley Spray Centers have got 12 locations with 48 technicians. So Livingston's based out of Chickasha, Oklahoma. Wiley's based out of Lubbock and Oklahoma City are their 2 main offices. Both of these stores had an individual willing to sit down with me during this pandemic and just kind of have a conversation about technician recruiting, how to retain technicians, where to find talent, and tech school engagement. So, from Livingston Machinery, we've got Chad Jarbo, and from Wiley, we've got Zach Lusk. I asked these guys kind of what were their top 5 items that they'd like out of a recent grad coming out of tech school. You know, Chad jumped right in from Livingston Machinery with the basic electrical, which leads into proficiency with a voltmeter. Everything's electrical nowadays. A lot of it's running through CAN bus, so it's not even just your 12 volt on and off. You're running through 2.5 volt circuits on CAN bus. Of course, engine diagnostics and hydraulic diagnostics, hydraulic theory. He'd like to see more of that coming out. He's got grads that come out and don't know what a load sense pump is. The last bullet point was a bit interesting. This goes into the 24/7 product support, and I'll flip back a slide. You can see they've got the service you come to expect 24/7. Well, that's a great slogan, but can you back it up? So Chad's one of his greatest challenges is finding young guys that will work those unconventional hours. All over the calendar, holidays, nights, weekends. There's definitely a need for them, but finding the right guy to fill those shoes. So talking to Zach Lusk, what he'd like to see from recent tech school grads. Of course, same thing, basic electrical, same that Chad said over there at Livingston. Something that was a little bit of an interesting point I thought was kind of neat was just the soft skills, customer and writing skills. He brought up writing as, in regards to absorption with billing efficiency on the technician. How are you going to bill it out and then justify it? So you may be able to bill 100% of your time, but if you can't justify those hours back to the OEM on a warranty job or back to the customer when he questions your labor, then you're going to have trouble. You know, writing skills are what convey what you did that day onto a sheet of paper. So labor rates anywhere from $120 to $220 an hour in the field, depending on where you're at, from Texas to North Dakota. You can definitely run into some scenarios where you're going to have to justify your labor. Familiar with modern guidance systems? Zach said that his guys come out of tech school that he hires, guys and gals, and there's not a lot of emphasis on guidance. He'd like to see that more. And then, of course, the same with Chad, familiarity on modern diesel engines and drivetrains. Zach did mention the CVT on the Case and AGCO side, as well as the IVT terminology that John Deere uses. So a little more familiarity with technicians on the CVT powertrain. So these are the stats for the 2 stores that they manage, Chad out of the Chickasha store and Zach out of the Lubbock Wiley store. Chad's got a couple guys fresh out of high school. He still likes to hire them young if he can and train them from within, and you'll grow that company from within. Tech school, 2. Very little involvement with the local tech school. According to Chad, he's only been there once over his 5-year career, so definitely a little bit of a different stat than you see to the right over there with Zach Lusk, who's got 7 tech school guys, and he's got heavy involvement. We'll get into that here in the next slide. But hired from another ag dealership, 6 for Chad, 4 for Zach. Outside the industry, we kind of define that as automotive, retail, oil field. Get a lot of oil field guys that want some stability, come back to the ag side. Both of them have tried paid recruiting services and currently have a couple of guys on staff, and then both of them also had one guy that they couldn't account for. He just showed up one day, and they stuck him in the other category. So got a good mix there. I think the one thing to point out would be the 7 tech school graduates that Zach has, and only 2 for Chad over there in Chickasha. So tech school involvement, just a little synopsis of what Chad and Zach have done over the years. Zach makes 2 to 3 visits per year. He's focused on providing support for the school. His end goal is to hire long-term competent grads. And his influence over that is curriculum. You know, if he can get in there and say, hey, our guys need to know this when they're coming out of school as fresh graduates, then he's got some influence on that curriculum. Definitely helps to work with the OEM. Zach and Chad both work with their respective OEMs to provide support for the schools that they're recruiting from. And then you can see Zach gets 2 to 3 of these graduates per year, and Chad gets about 1. So they're both getting guys out of tech school. Zach is just way more involved with the tech school that's in his region, which is South Plains College in Levelland. Chad does work with South Plains a little bit. They're somewhat regional, but local would be Oklahoma State, Okmulgee, that he likes to get guys from when he can. All right, technical college. So we talked about SPC, South Plains College in Levelland, Texas. They've got an automotive program and a diesel program. Both of them are 18 months long. Both of them have got a waiting list to get in, so they're pretty full. 15 graduates every cycle for auto and 20 graduates every cycle for diesel. You can see their job placement rates are exceptional. They're darn near 100%. Mr. Hartman, one of the professors I talked to there, he mentioned those numbers are 100%. 98 is you get guys that go back to the farm or go to the oil field, and they don't really account for those guys as getting official offers within the industry. So this is actually the percentage of guys and gals graduating tech school that stay within their respective industry that they were formally trained on. Pretty good stat when you think about it that way. Dealerships with current graduates, there's a list of them there. Take a peek at them. And, of course, the OEM partners with SPC is Caterpillar and AGCO. CAT provides some equipment, wheel loader, got a picture on the next slide, and AGCO provides a couple tractors and a windrower each year, as well as diagnostic equipment as far as the AGCO EDT tool, which is their computer-based diagnostic software. So we got Mr. Hartman here. He's one of the younger professors there in the green, and he mentions that he's kind of the coordinator for OEM support, so he's always looking for equipment, diagnostic tooling to help these recent graduates be as fresh as possible coming out of school. Some of the latest, greatest with the respective OEM products. You see that nice cat wheel loader there. They do have a couple of AGCO tractors back there in a swather in the shop. Also, he attends training at both AGCO and Caterpillar each year for some product updates and information on the latest and greatest things coming down the pipe from both AGCO and CAT. So dealer involvement, he likes to get involved with their curriculum. When you're going to recruit, in his opinion, when you're going to recruit from these tech schools, if you know what you're getting, you're more apt to probably pay them a little better, hire more of them, and just get a more consistent graduate altogether. So he firmly believes in the tech school route and providing local resources as well as coordinating OEM resources to provide tooling, training, etc. for the tech school. Something he's also big into is an internship program and getting interns in between so they can take a break during their 18 months, go to school 9 months, and then take a 2-month, 3-month, 4-month break, whatever, and come back for their remaining 9 months. And that's something that they're really trying to get going at South Plains, to provide these OEMs as well as dealers with some interns. So he said that's helped them, Mr. Hartman said that's helped make some of their graduates stick, and they've got jobs right out of school. So in summary, why are we seeing a technician shortage? A lot of its technology is outpacing training at dealerships or knowledge base at dealerships. Yes, the OEMs provide training each year, but to catch up, you'd need to go so many times it wouldn't be efficient for a tech to be out, multiple weeks each year. Young talent's hard to find. That's something both service managers said. And not only is it hard to find, it's hard to retain. So finding the right guy and then retaining them, because it's not all about the money with the young generation. You're going to find guys that don't want to work that 24/7, 365 shift. They're going to want to work some unconventional hours, but it may not be on the holidays. So use that to your advantage, is the way that Chad does. So, retention is key. Chad admits that he needs to be more involved. Dealer involvement with the tech school is a way to create a pipeline of young technicians coming in. You're not going to keep everybody, so you got to keep them flowing into your door. Opportunity, influence, and knowledge base of graduates. So this is the most important thing for Zach Lusser at Wiley, communicating with South Plains Technical College, is that opportunity to influence, to create real-time curriculum changes every cycle of graduates, so they can get guys that are turnkey, ready to go when they hit the ground. We're going to finish up with this slide. Got a question slide. My email is scott.small@agcocorp.com. If you got any questions, send them my way. Definitely looking forward to hearing any feedback about technician recruiting, retention, but the tech school route's the way to go. You can find a good pipeline of young guys. It's not going to solve all of your shortage problems, but you start them young and keep them and retain them, and you've got a good pipeline going. Thank you for your time.